Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Out Today and What I Missed right here on the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel. This time for February 6th, 2026. This week I have 12 new albums to talk about, 5 that are out today, 7 that I missed along the way, and I tried to make this as diverse as possible. Let's see if I hit the mark. Let's get into it. First up, we have Agenbite Misery with Remorse of Conscience. This left-of-center debut comes in the form of this New Hampshire band, a mix of atmospheric black metal, sludgy doom metal, and avant-garde twists, and turns that will make you turn your head. The production on this one is raw, but not unlistenable, as everything does come through the mix. The songwriting explores so much in sound, reminding me of a very sludgy side of the band Primitive Man, the Blackened side of the Minnesota band Suffering Hour, and moments of Blue Das Nord and Imperial Triumphant. If you like your music to take on adventures that you just don't see coming, you will find it within the debut album from Agenbite Misery. Up next is All the Damn Vampires with Vicecore. I'm a bit torn on covering this one, as 5 of the 12 tracks are covers, so it's very close to being a reimagined covers album, but the magic of the music is so good that I don't want to skip this one. The debut album from Davey Oberlin fuses dark synthwave, alternative metal, AOR, and a cinematic landscape to create an album that feels like an 80s album made with a haunting sense of 2026. Imagine if someone made an episode of Miami Vice that's based on the Lost Boys, or the band Magic Dance taking a more modern metal influence, and you have Vicecore. The original tracks have a nostalgic flair, while the covers from artists like Phil Collins, Whitesnake, Cutting Crew, Benny Bardones, and Martika have the influence on point, but are updated just enough to make them a little bit darker than the original intent. Overall, this is an album that hits hard, especially on the throwbacks, but it's just sinister enough to feel like a soundtrack to a movie that hasn't been made yet, which would be really cool to see made one day. If you want a modern throwback, give All the Damn Vampires a shot. You just might enjoy the trip as well. Next up, we have Induction with Love Kills. The third album from this fantastic band may be their best album to date. They have always found a way to be more than your typical catchy band, while still hitting you with some of the catchiest hooks, melodies, and choruses possible. With the latest release, the band continues to push what is possible in a symphonic, AOR, melodic metal sound in a power metal band, and that feels so at home with bands like Latter Day Edguy, as it would Gamma Ray, as it would Sonata Arctica. It just hits all the right elements that you love, making you close your eyes, nod your head, and making you happy that you're listening to this kind of music. The production is right where it needs to be, and the songwriting, as stated, is as catchy as possible while still hitting everything that you'd want in this sound. This may not be the most groundbreaking power metal album ever made, but in 2026, it's an album that will remind you why you love this side of melodic power metal so much, and it will give you infinite replayability. We need more of that in 2026. Up next, we have Lomor with Sabouk Rogue. This may be the first album that I've ever come across that comes out of Reunion Island, and that is so cool for me to be able to do to keep discovering music out of new territories. The sophomore album from this thrash band is the kind of thrash that makes you a fan of the style to begin with, sounding like a mix of Slayer, Early Day Testament, and especially Creator. This hits that 80s itch of sound, but updated for 2026, so it has incredible production style and just enough fluff cut out for maximum impact. This is 11 tracks and almost 45.5 minutes of what makes thrash exciting after all these decades. Whether it's all guns blazing or slowed down enough to have some variety, this is a band that knows how to write a song and have it stuck in your head. Thrash fans, old and new, need to check this one out. Now we have Mayhem with Liturgy of Death. With a legacy as this Norwegian band has had over the past 40 years and counting, it's hard to believe that they only have 7 albums deep into their career. Even more so, the fact that no 2 albums sound alike despite always sounding like Mayhem. With the latest album, the band explores more of what is possible with their sound, while still having that signature black metal sound. They're experimenting more with clean vocals, off-kilter songwriting, and of course feeling like evil is pouring right out of your speakers. While the band will never be everyone's cup of tea, it is a welcoming thing to see that the band is still pushing their songwriting ability and not resting on their laurels. It's a hellacious 8-track, nearly 46-minute ritual that is rewarding if you give it a full spin, proving that they're not just a legacy band, as they know what to do to still be here to this day. And finally, for brand new albums of today, we have Paganizer with As Mankind Rots. Sweden's Paganizer's 14th album is layered in old school Swedish death metal that simply works since the late 80s, and it never lets up in momentum. It hits hard, the riffs are crushing, including the song Devoured, which kinda sounds like a song from one of my old bands that never got put out. To me, that is a cool thing to see, and it just feels so right. They've always had that entombed, grave, dismember sound, and that's why I keep going back to them for this sound. Arguably my favorite kind of straight up death metal shines with a style that is all substance and just the slightest amount of flair. Mix that in with the classic production style and I'm sold. If you need your fix of Swedish OSDM, you need to hear the latest from Paganizer. And now it's time for everything that I missed along the way, starting with a band name that I deeply apologize for getting wrong, as I know I'm gonna hit it wrong. Aftoktonia, with Through the Nebulae of Empyrean Aether. The third album in 4 months from this already prolific Norwegian one-man band is a magnificently made black metal that burns the soul. And no, this is not AI. There are flares of mystical moments that remind me of bands like Labyrinthus Stellarum, while still hitting that second and third wave black metal edge, while hinting so closely to DSBM. Every release so far is 4 songs a piece, or 1 song separated into 4 movements, and this is no exception. It's a long trip at 52.5 minutes between 4 tracks, but if you enjoy a soundscape of hellish proportions, this is more than worthy of the experience. It's cold, dark, barren, and oddly soothing all at once. If you don't like long-form black metal, this will not be for you, but for everyone else, this should be a mandatory listen. Now we have Every King Has a Clown with their self-titled debut. The debut album from this one-man US band is filled to the brim with too many guest performers to mention in a block like this, but still feels like the band has been around for decades, hitting so much of what there is to love about the 80s through the 2000s heavy metal sound, sometimes getting a little proggy, sometimes getting more power metal, sometimes getting a little doomy, and sometimes just straight up metal. It has a little bit of everything and none of the fluff. The production feels right where it should be, and no matter the genre shift, it feels like a chameleon, hitting everything that the styles call for, and it feels so satisfying to hear. If you want to hear a loving tribute to bands of the classic genres of metal, check out what this project has to offer. Next up is Exile with Karga. The debut album from this French outfit is striking a chord with me in a way that feels indescribable in its accuracy. While I do not know the lyrical content on this one for not being able to read or speak French, the melodies, harmonies, and screams are hitting me so hard and not letting up. I can hear elements of Emisseurs in the style of post-punk and post-black, while added elements of Amenra on the darker side, Unrequited for the emotional side, and Ghostbath for the more consistent vocals. This is an 8-track, almost 36.5 minute assault to the senses that will leave you feeling cathartic and longing for better times. This is exactly what a good post-black album should bring to the table. It's hard to believe that this is just a debut, as some bands of this style wish they could hit this much power in their 4th, 5th, or even 6th album. It'll leave you an emotional wreck, but that is mandatory for any post-black fan. Now we have Fireborn with Dreamcatcher. The sophomore album from this German band feels like the perfect combination of new and old, formed to create something for every generation of rock and metal fan. Every song, no matter the tempo, feels like it was tailor-made to show off the best of the genres that they have to offer, while still sounding as catchy and full of earworms as possible. Whether you're looking for Rainbow, Dokken, Doro, or even Alter Bridge, you will find something that grabs your attention and not let go. The production hits so hard and it doesn't let up in its momentum. Sometimes you just want to straight up hard rock and heavy metal album, and in 2026 so far, you're not going to find a better example than that with Dreamcatcher by Fireborn. Next up is Queen Kona with Long Live. The 4th album from this New York City band is the kind of progressive metalcore that grabs my attention. While it does have some gent moments, it doesn't rely on it, in favor of more of the mid to late 2000s metalcore sound that is more than just fretboard Olympics and wanking. There's real songwriting going on here, mixed in with vocal variety and a thick atmosphere throughout the entire album. It feels like a mix of After the Burial, Bury Your Dead, and Unearthed, and for someone who grew up in bands like that in my pivotal teen years, that's a cool thing to see. Mix that in with a brutal yet clear production style, and you have an album that between all 10 tracks and almost 39 minutes is filled to the brim with peak performances and songs that hit so hard on record, but I'm sure will hit even harder live. Give this one a proper listen if this is your bag. You just might be won over as well. And finally today we have Sidious with Melphic Necropolis. While originally having more of a symphonic black metal sound, and some of that is still here even if it's not prominent, the 4th album from this UK band feels sinister in its triumphant black metal sound, with an exceptional production style that you just don't often hear in this style, and a songwriting that feels like it was crafted to perfection. This is one of the best black metal albums that we're gonna get in 2026. It's everything that you'd expect from the genre, but just done better. This is what the 2nd and 3rd wave black metal bands wish that they could have been able to do with their production. 9 songs, 35.5 minutes of pure, unadulterated nihilism. And there you go, folks, another 10 albums down and 60 2026 albums that I've covered so far. So what do you think? Did I pick out some good albums? Did I pick out some bad albums? Anything that caught your attention? Anything that you want to check out? Anything that I might have missed? Please let me know down below. And of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And make sure to come back for February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, as we get into Out Today and What I Missed for February 13th, 2026. But until then, for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, this is Josh Runquist saying, embrace the skullet.